The Galactic Council had existed for 12 millennia before humanity stumbled onto the interstellar stage. Thousands of species coexisted in relative harmony, guided by principles of cooperation and mutual benefit. When humans made first contact, they were welcomed with open arms, or whatever appendages the various species used for greeting. Captain James Miller stood before the council representatives, his weathered face solemn despite the historic occasion. The enormous chamber housed delegates from over 300 civilizations, all watching the human with curious eyes. Some floated in suspension tanks, others perched on hovering platforms, but all regarded the newcomer with interest. "We are honored to join your community," Miller said, his voice carrying through the translator fields. "Earth extends its hand in friendship, but I must deliver a message from our leadership." The council premier, a tall being with iridescent skin, nodded encouragingly. "Humanity comes in peace, but we have one warning." Miller paused, ensuring his words would not be misinterpreted. "We will defend ourselves with extreme prejudice if threatened. Earth has known war for most of its history. We have evolved beyond constant conflict, but we have not forgotten how to fight." Murmurs rippled through the assembly. Most species had abandoned warfare thousands of years prior, considering it barbaric and inefficient. The premier dismissed Miller's statement as cultural posturing, a primitive species attempting to appear strong during first contact. "Your warning is noted, Captain," the premier said, mandibles clicking gently. "But you'll find that the galactic community has no need for such antiquated concepts. War is behind us." Miller nodded respectfully, but his eyes remained hard. "I hope you're right." 5 years passed. Humanity integrated into the galactic community, establishing colonies, trading resources, and sharing knowledge. The Council regarded Earth's rapid adaptation with pride, another successful assimilation of an emerging species. Then the Voidborn came. They arrived without warning, massive ships suddenly appearing at the edges of occupied systems. The Voidborn were not newcomers but ancient exiles cast out millennia ago for their expansionist aggression. Now they had returned, evolved and determined to reclaim what they considered their birthright. The Council, having known peace for so long, was unprepared. Their defense forces were ceremonial at best, their weapons designed to disable rather than destroy. System after system fell as the Voidborn methodically reclaimed territory, harvesting resources and subjugating populations. Admiral Thomas Reed watched the holographic display with growing dread as reports filtered in from across the galaxy. The Voidborn fleet was moving toward Earth. "They've taken 12 systems in 16 days, his intelligence officer reported. "The Council forces are completely outmatched." Reed's jaw tightened. "And their response to our offers of military assistance?" "Still declined, sir. The Council believes negotiation remains possible." Reed closed his eyes briefly. "Then they'll learn the hard way. Implement Protocol Chimera. All ships to battle stations." The Council premier stared in disbelief at the devastation reports. Half the governing body had been captured or killed when the Voidborn struck the Council homeworld. Their civilization was crumbling around them and their peaceful philosophies offered no solutions. "We need help," the premier admitted to the emergency assembly. "We must contact Earth." A communication officer hurried forward. "Earth has been trying to reach us, Premier. They're mobilizing." The Premier's expression shifted to confusion. "Mobilizing what?" The answer came 3 days later when human warships appeared at strategic points across the galaxy. Ships that hadn't existed in official records, vessels bristling with weapon systems far beyond what humanity had shared with the Council. For generations, Earth had maintained a hidden fleet, preparing for a threat they hoped would never materialize. While openly embracing peace, they had quietly remained vigilant. The battle for Alpha Centauri became the turning point. Outnumbered 3-1, the human fleet executed maneuvers the Voidborn had never encountered. Earth vessels took devastating hits but continued fighting. Ground forces deployed in drop pods, securing key installations with brutal efficiency. The Council watched in awe and horror as humanity unleashed its full military capability. Human soldiers fought with a fervor the galaxy hadn't witnessed in thousands of years. Their tactics evolved mid-battle, adapting to Voidborn strategies in real time. Within weeks, the Voidborn advance halted. Within months, they began to retreat. 1 year after the Voidborn first appeared, representatives from all surviving species gathered on Earth. The rebuilt council chamber in Geneva was smaller than its predecessor, but filled with new determination. Admiral Reed, now bearing scars from the Battle of Proxima, addressed the assembly. "We gave our warning," he said quietly. "Earth suffered alongside you because that warning went unheeded. 20 billion dead across the galaxy, 400 million on Earth alone." The Premier lowered their head. "We did not understand the nature of preparedness. We mistook vigilance for aggression." Reed nodded. "Peace is not the absence of strength, but the responsible stewardship of it. Humanity joins the galactic community not just as explorers and traders, but as defenders." The assembly chamber fell silent. "We will rebuild together," Reed continued, "and we will remember the lesson written in the stars with the blood of billions. Trust is valuable, but vigilance is essential." The new Galactic Defense Accord was signed that day. Under human guidance, peaceful species began the uncomfortable process of learning to protect themselves. Museums housing ancient weapons were converted to training facilities. Scientific minds that had focused solely on creation now also studied preservation. Earth had suffered tremendously for the galaxy's trust in an eternal peace. But from that suffering emerged a new understanding, that those who desire peace must sometimes be prepared for war. The stars would know conflict again, but they would also know something the old council had forgotten: the strength to defend. What you love is as important as the wisdom to know when not to use it. Humanity's warning had been ignored once. It never would be again.